Hey Ryan, how have you been?
Yeah, things are great. Really excited about the efforts coming out of the Milwaukee and Chicago teams.
Same. Hey, I just thought of an idea.
Creating a natural conversation between two AI characters is harder than it looks. Usually, the AI gets confused about who's talking or the lip sync drifts. Today, I'm going to walk you through an exact workflow from scripting to final render to solve the two-character problem and keep your characters consistent. So this is actually inside of Google Gemini, and I've uploaded it, and I asked Gemini, can you transcribe this video for me? There are two speakers. This is something that's new with Google Gemini, where it can actually work from video directly. So with this uploaded video, in no time, it's given me the back and forth between Pete and Ryan. Love it. Okay, when I finished with that, I explained to it, with 11 Labs, you can use voice-related tags that add depth to the vocal creation. These tags control vocal delivery and emotional expression, and I kind of went through and explained the whole process of what that looks like, what these terms can be, from laughs, sighs, sarcastic, whispers. In each of these pieces, I'm kind of giving it a framework or a structure that's basically the rules of working with 11 Labs. I'm basically telling it, using this, what I want you to do is to work with that existing script and make it more conversational in nature. So here's the transcript rewritten with 11 Labs V3 prompts, emotional tags, and pacing cues to bring the performance to life. So what we're doing is we're not just doing a flat transcription. We're saying, how do we add terminology and language to our prompt that 11 Labs will be able to read and bring out the personality. So this is the beginning of that whole conversation, as we've got this back and forth. Pete, warmly, hey Ryan, how have you been? This is nice because we've got those vocal cues in place. So you've seen the basic characters, but I want to show you what we've done. So I had the reference images that were used to create these two characters, and I actually used Gemini's Nano Banana to create new versions. So here's the two images, and I said attached are two characters created in animated style. I want you to give both of these characters a full body. The fellow with a beard is Peter. He's tall. I want to see him in a deep blue zip neck over Oxford button-up and faded blue jeans with dress lace boots. The other character is Ryan. He's also tall and athletic lanky. I want him in khaki pants, solid blue Oxford, and brown dress shoes. I want them isolated on a neutral background, two separate images. Now, it kind of got what I was after. It really got the details right on my characters. This is fantastic, but I've got one image, just split it with a line. This is actually very doable now because I now have two referenced images of our characters in the same shot, and I can use this for further things. Now what I said is this is perfect. Now in the same styling, I want you to create a Midwestern flavored Indianapolis hometown bar for these two men to be together at. I want each man to be holding a pint glass of frothy drink standing by a tall table. The bar is behind them. I want the image size to be 16 by 9, and the men are engaged in a lively conversation and enjoying one another's company as co-workers and friends. And this is what it created. Okay, you'll notice the flavor here is we've got the men in the same outfits that I just asked for before, but now we've got them in a setting. Now this is really nice. With Nano Banana 2, we're getting the details like Indianapolis Brewing Company, Colts. It's got a ball game in the background. This is really, really nice because this looks like what I'm after. Also, what we're seeing is the characters that are around our main two characters have the same kind of Pixar-esque flavor. So this is great because this is the kind of vibe I'm looking for. Now, because I want to have this in a conversational tone, when you're working with AI, if you only have one speaker, it's pretty easy. You can just have the one speaker say something. But when you've got two, the AI can get a little confused on who is who. In fact, this is a challenge you'll run into with Sora 2 right now. For those who have access, you'll see that when Sora 2 is creating characters, it'll literally have one guy saying the parts of both people. So this is the nature of AI, is it kind of gets lost in who's talking. So what I wanted to do is I want to have the vantage point of one and then the other. So here's how I did that. Excellent. I want to see various angles of the same setting, close-ups of each person, keeping the background intact. So it kind of throws them both in one screen. And I'm like, not bad. Not what I was looking for. I need individual shots. And so again, it's kind of giving me this getting lost in what I'm asking for. But I said, now a close-up of just Peter in the same setting. And here we go. Now we've been able to rotate the camera angle a little bit. So we're bringing Peter into the focus. Ryan's on this side, and we've got a pretty decent setup. This works because now I should be able to tell AI that I want this guy with a beard talking, and it should be able to isolate and understand that clearly. Now I want to flip the camera and look at it from the other angle. And here we go. But not quite right, because we got this third arm that has nothing to do with anything. This is not the same guy. It's actually, here's Ryan over here. So it's just basically threw another person altogether. So what I had to do is bring back the original image and say, nope, you added another person. Also, there's only 2 people at the table. And this is what it gave me. Okay, much, much better. Ryan is talking to someone else, though we actually want him looking towards the camera. So this is the challenge you run into with AI, is you've got to constantly be tweaking how you ask for things to get the result that you're after. Also, Peter is standing a long ways away from the table. In the original image of them side by side, he's right up next to it. So what I want to try to do is figure out the wording that's going to get him closer to the table and also change Ryan's face so he's looking at the camera. So with a little bit of effort, I got Ryan looking at the camera here. This is pretty good, but still Peter's way back in the distance. So we'll keep playing with this, Here he's stretching his arms out really far, and finally he's attached and connected with the table. This right here will work. It's not perfect, but this is great. This is much better than what we had. And this is an option now where we can begin playing with this as part of our creation process. So I now have 3 images of these characters that can really work. I've got this 2 side by side at the table. I've got one looking at Peter, one looking at Ryan. And we can then begin playing with this more. This one here, I said remove Peter and Ryan from the image, leave their full beverages on the table. What I'm basically going to do is isolate them from the space, and here we go. It gave me the table without them at it. This becomes another reference point where I could bring them into screen if I wanted to. What if I wanted actually to have those glasses empty? Ask for it, and there we go. Okay, so now we've got some structured images, and we've got points of reference that we can work from. Let me show you some of the challenges you run into when you're working with video. Now that we have our script and our consistent character angles, we need to animate them. My first thought was to use a standard tool like Hedra, which I've used successfully in the past. But when you're working with Hedra, this is one of the things that there's some great functionality to it. You really have to have the side-by-side where you can work with one character at a time and then bring them together later. Because of that, here's what I found with this. This is just using a small little segment where it's actually going to play a 30-second clip where I've already got the voices in place, and here's what we get.
Marion, man, how have you been?
Okay, because I can only work with one voice at a time when I'm working with Hedra, where it works properly, then I've actually isolated the voices. I'll show you how I did that in just a second. But notice what's happening. It doesn't know who Ryan and who Peter is. Even though there's only one guy facing this way, you would assume that the default option would be let's make him the one talking. But it did the harder thing and actually has this guy talking, Ryan, on the side, which I find fascinating. Take a look at it again.
Ryan, man, how have you been?
See his mouth moving?
Yeah, things have been great. Really pumped about what the Milwaukee and Chicago teams are pulling together lately.
So I find this fascinating. So I could have fixed this manually by slicing the audio files for every single sentence to force the lip sync, but that takes forever. I needed a workflow that handles the dialogue automatically. This is when I switch tools. I used an application called LTX. Now with LTX, this is a pretty cool tool. We can upload elements. So I can actually upload Peter and Ryan's image and the indie bar. Now from that, I could tell it, I want you to basically create a conversation and create the whole storyboard with this. And it generates several images to work from. And you'll see that some of these are really replications of the same. In other words, the reason for that is I've literally dropped it in place based off the script. When Peter's talking, I want to make sure that Peter is the one that's kind of facing the camera. When Ryan's talking, I want to make sure it's him that's facing the camera. The initial set image doesn't really matter as a whole once the video starts because it's only going to be in that position for just a second. This is when you're dealing with animation, it's pretty easy to kind of work from here. So with this quick animation, I was able to kind of set things in place, and I went to Generate. Now inside of Generate, you'll see over here, this is all the different sessions. Now a session is basically where I've taken an image and I've applied some type of action to it. So here's the session where I created some visuals, and this is going from the elements, create the different settings. And again, these are kind of like all over the place. This is just where it's creating images. But you're not stuck with the images. You can actually then go in, say for here, let's go up to the top. Here's our image. Nice, I like it. What can we do with this? Well,
Hey Ryan, how have you been? Yeah, things are great. Really excited about the efforts coming out of the Milwaukee and Chicago team.
see that? I've got a conversation between the two characters, and they're actually speaking to the right person. Now, how did I manage to accomplish that? Well, let me show you. Notice here, the script, static camera shot, and then inside of brackets, it says, Peter, man with beard, says warmly. What I'm doing is I'm telling the AI how to define the individual character. So this is what Peter says. There's no script that's been uploaded as far as an actual vocal element. This is literally the script or the transcript of what I want the character to say. So it says, hey Ryan, how have you been? Ryan replies, Peter, great, thoughtful. Haven't seen you since we're at the Converter U in Chicago. Okay, everything that I used in talking to 11 Labs before, I'm taking that information here and having it speak the parts. So we got two different characters speaking throughout. And this works really, really well. I'm able to kind of create these conversational pieces where the guys are doing different things. And this is a whole series of pieces. Now, as I scroll through here on the right with the elements, you'll see there's 7 elements with this. And the reason is because every time that I have Peter talking, I've got him facing the screen. So here's one.
Yeah, things are great. Really excited about the efforts coming out of the Milwaukee and Chicago.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, well, that does sound awesome. All right. So what can they... I love that. And by the way...
Okay, so what you're seeing here is very interesting. Each of those start with the exact same image, but it doesn't stay on that image for long. And we'll have some motion that's taking place with the camera. There's different vocal things that are being done. They're saying different things. So their motion is different. And when you piece all this together, the story becomes very, very powerful. Let me step back from here, and you'll notice there's others throughout. There's one right here. This is when you're dealing with Ryan speaking. There's the static image we work with. And here's where Ryan speaks.
Same. Hey, I just thought of an idea.
Okay, so once we've created an image that we like or a video clip that we like, and you're like, okay, this is great, what we can do is we can add that particular image. You'll see under here, under Tools, when I click on this, Send to Video Editor. So what I'm doing is going in sequence and creating the actual clips that I want, and then I'm sending that to the video editor. Inside the video editor, I can begin laying things out, and I can slice things up. Well, where is the video editor? Well, that's right here on our timeline up at the top. Under Video Editor, you can see the entire thing.
Hey Ryan, how have you been? Yeah, things are great. Really excited about the efforts coming out of the Milwaukee and Chicago team.
Same. Hey, I just thought of an idea.
Okay, so we've got some back and forth that's taken place. The characters are moving. If I continue through this, you'll see that it flows like a movie. Also, there's a background music and there's some other sound effects that's going on inside of here. So let's actually talk about that for just a second. I wanted to create a sound that would be appropriate to this Indianapolis bar. So inside of Gemini, I said, I'm thinking about the sounds of an Indianapolis hometown bar, not a honky-tonk, but the local watering hole in downtown Indy. What sort of music vibe might one expect there? Bands, music, vibe. And it gives me some detail, and it kind of goes Rust Belt rock, Heartland pop, and deep blues. This is great as inspiration. I said, so what might some lyrics be that would appeal to the indie crowd if a new Mellencamp song were released? Something that touches on manufacturing and building the dream. So it begins writing me a script, and it writes out the lyrics for a song. And it tells me the tempo, it tells me what it's going to sound like. Here's the verses and the chorus, and this is really good. So in Suno Music, I actually create something very much like this, where I've got a breakdown of the verse and the chorus and the pre-chorus. All of that's in there, and this came directly from the Google Gemini. Also under Styles, Rust Belt rock, Heartland pop, and deep blues. The vibe, unpretentious heartland, indie vibe with a lot of guitars. The anthem factor with a Heartland rock strength. Tempo is mid-tempo, Heartland rock. Think Paper and Fire meets Crumbling Down, acoustic guitar, intro that explodes into heavy snare beat. And it gives me a couple options. And these are actually pretty good. Now, if you listen to this, you'll notice that this is what's playing very faintly in the background of the video that I just showed you. Once I had the track generated, I brought it back into the editor to finalize the atmosphere. All of this gets pieced together, in this case, inside of the LTX, and I'm able to export a finished file. What you'll see is this line right down here is the audio that I've added in. So this was done by sound, and you'll see Limestone and Sparks. So that's what I just created. I'm able to bring that and make it happen inside of the application. You'll see that I've also got the 11 Labs voiceover, working with that if I wanted to try to make that happen inside of LTX. But in this case, because I'm working with two different characters and I want their voices to truly lip sync properly, then I let LTX control the voices of the characters themselves. Okay, now you can see the whole thing all in one, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Hey Ryan, how have you been? Yeah, things are great. Really excited about the efforts coming out of the Milwaukee and Chicago teams.
Same. Hey, I just thought of an idea. Want to try something fun?
You don't have to tempt me with a good time. I'm game. Let's launch a collaboration recognition program for the 3M and Marion teams in the Milwaukee and Chicago land area.
I love that.
Let's maintain the momentum from the Converter University and run an incentive plan that rewards those Marion and 3M folks
Foods that are collaborating on new targets, going on joint calls, doing solution seminars, and most of all, winning new business.
That actually sounds amazing.
And you know I love a good competition, but how do we measure all this?
Good question. We'll use 3msalesforce.com. Track joint calls, track seminars, track new ops created, ops closed and won.
Nice. But that kind of sounds like a lot of work for the sales team. That's the beauty of it. They're already entering all this stuff. We just report the results.
Oh, well that does sound awesome. All right, so what can they actually win? Okay, picture this. Top 3M and Marion achievers each get a $700 Remarkable Paper Pro package. Second place achievers get a $500 Remarkable Pro package.
I love that.
And by the way, if you're making a Christmas list for me, you can put one of those on.
Got it. Noted. Santa will be informed. So, let's run this December 1st through May 31st. Announce winners June 5th. But what do we even call it? Got it. Collaborate excellently. Win remarkably. Yeah, Pete, I got it. But honestly, it's good. Let's do it. Here's to a remarkable 2026.
Cheers.
By using LTX's bracket scripting, we solved the identity problem without hours of manual editing. If you want to try this workflow, check the links below. This is Brian Sykes with the AI Lab. Thanks so much for watching.